So we are through the first 2 months of the college basketball season, and the 2025 freshman class has continued to live up to the hype, and I wanted to put a grade on every top freshman based on how they performed so far this season. But before we get into the video, if you enjoy the content, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel, and now let's jump into it. And I wanted to start with AJ Dybantsa because he hasn't just lived up to the hype, he has blown straight through it recently. After a strong November where he scored at least 16 points every night, something clearly clicked in December as Dybantsa elevated and went into full takeover mode, averaging 27.8 points, 8 rebounds, and 5.7 assists while shooting efficiently and controlling games on demand. His ability to completely flip outcomes, including willing BYU back from a 22-point deficit against Clemson, separates him from just about everyone else in this class, and even when competition varies, his dominance has remained, and his 33-point triple-double proved that point. And what's most encouraging is the growth as a passer that we've seen, showing real command of the offense for BYU, and if he starts asserting himself even earlier in games, BYU will become even more terrifying than they already are, and he's already playing like one of the best players in all of college basketball, not just the best freshman, so he has to get an A+ so far this year. And another guy I had to give an A+ to was Cameron Boozer, as he's been nothing short of outrageous so far this year for Duke. He's averaging 23.3 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists on the year while shooting efficiently and being able to stretch the floor, and he's producing at a level rarely seen from a freshman big, especially against the elite schedule that the Blue Devils have had so far. And the fact that Boozer is also one of Duke's most reliable three-point threats almost feels unfair, and even when he starts games slow, his impact when the game's tighten is unmatched, consistently asserting dominance when it matters most, and right now, he's the clear frontrunner for Freshman of the Year and firmly in the National Player of the Year conversation, and if this pace holds, Boozer could realistically enter 2026 as college basketball's leading scorer, and the polish, poise, and physicality that we've seen from him all scream of a high-level talent, and simply put, it seems like he's just setting the standard for just about everyone else. And Darryn Peterson is the other part of the big three in this freshman class, and I have him as a B grade right now, and honestly, it's just due to the availability. When he's been on the floor, the talent has been undeniable, but the problem is simply getting him there. He's been limited to just 4 games so far due to ongoing injury issues, but Peterson has still managed to flash elite shot creation and efficiency, averaging 19.5 points on over 52% shooting so far, and his stretch against NC State showed exactly why NBA scouts seem to have remained unfazed by his injury issues, as he controlled the tempo and created offense without forcing the issue. And with that being said, availability matters though, and missing 9 games makes it hard to elevate his grade beyond this point for me, but the upside remains enormous for Peterson, and if he's fully healthy for March, Kansas could look very different from the team that we see now. But for now, the resume feels incomplete for him, and until Peterson strings together extended availability, this season remains more promise than production, but he's still one of the best freshmen in this class. Ament is the guy I want to talk about next, and I have him as a C grade, and although he's flashed some tantalizing upside already, consistency remains the missing ingredient for me. At his best, the nearly 7-foot freshman shows perimeter shot making that hints at long-term star potential. However, the production hasn't matched the expectations yet, as he's averaging 15.3 points and 6.9 rebounds on just 38% shooting from the field. And Ament has struggled with physicality, he struggled with turnovers, and some defensive awareness issues as well. And we've seen large stretches of games that have passed without him making an impact at all, which feels underwhelming given the preseason hype surrounding him. But context matters here, and this would look like a solid freshman season for most, but he was expected to challenge the elite tier of the big three that we've seen, and that's just something that we haven't seen from him yet. But a guy that has been exceeding expectations for me is Caleb Wilson, which is why I have him as an A grade, as he has been one of the most reliable forces in college basketball regardless of being just a freshman. He's averaging nearly 20 points, double-digit rebounds, and has been elite on the defensive end as well, and he has turned consistency into his calling card for the North Carolina Tar Heels. He's relentless on the glass, draws fouls at a remarkable rate, and continues to punish teams at the free throw line, and what truly separates him is his ability to impact games even when the shot isn't falling, as evidenced by his all-around effort against Kentucky. He has 9 double-doubles already this season, which tells a big story of what he's done so far, and his presence anchors one of the nation's best two-point defense at North Carolina, and his growth as a passer only raises his ceiling, and while he sits just behind the absolute elite freshmen that we've seen in Cameron Boozer and AJ Dybantsa for me, the gap isn't that wide, and if this trajectory continues, Wilson will remain squarely in every major award conversation. Next is Cenac Jr. from Houston, and I have his grade as a B-, and this season has been a roller coaster for him. The flashes that we've seen has been undeniable, as he showcased double-doubles, some physical dominance at times, and strong rebounding nights against quality competition, but consistency for him has been elusive. One game he looks like a cornerstone piece for the Cougars, and the next he disappears entirely. Right now he's averaging 9.5 points and 7.5 rebounds, and Cenac's production swings wildly from night to night, which is concerning with Houston going into Big 12 play and trying to repeat there. But Houston will need stability from its front court, and right now Cenac hasn't provided that on a night in, night out basis. And the talent though is evident, particularly when he's engaged defensively and on the glass, but the question is whether he can sustain that level. But if he steadies the output, this grade for me could improve later on as the season goes, but until then, the uncertainty defines his freshman campaign so far. My next A grade goes to Darius Acuff Jr. from Arkansas, as he has emerged as the engine behind the Razorbacks' recent offensive surge. Acuff is averaging 18.8 points and 6.2 assists per game, while shooting efficiently from both inside and behind the arc, and he has steadily grown into the Razorbacks' most indispensable player so far. Early on, he faded late in marquee losses, but December told a different story for Darius Acuff, especially against Louisville and Texas Tech. Acuff controlled games in crunch time, pairing scoring with elite playmaking for others, and even in their defeat against Houston, he stood out with a complete performance, and his efficiency inside the arc and a near 4-to-1 assist to turnover stretch highlight rapid maturity from the young guard, and the offense clearly hums at a higher level when the ball is in his hands. And entering SEC play, Acuff isn't just a top freshman, he's a legit Conference Player of the Year contender to me. Another point guard that's been putting together a solid freshman campaign is Louisville's Mikel Brown Jr., who I have as a B+ grade so far this season, and really that's just due to the inconsistency that we've seen at times on the offensive end, but he's been playing through a lingering back injury that actually held him out of their game against Tennessee, but he has still averaged 16.5 points and over 5 assists per game, which is shouldering a massive offensive burden for Louisville. The shooting struggles though, particularly from 3, have dragged down his efficiency, but the confidence that we've seen from him has never wavered, and Louisville continues to trust him with a permanent green light, and for good reason. And even amid the inconsistency, Brown has delivered in big moments, including a 22-point effort against Arkansas where he nearly sparked a comeback for Louisville in that one. But health will ultimately dictate his ceiling the rest of the way, but if he's healthy and shots start falling and the body holds up, Brown's impact will surge even higher, and I know that for a fact. But for now, the production and the flashes of dominance justify a strong but cautious grade for me, I think. Next is Tounde Yessoufou from Baylor, who I have as an A- so far this year, and he might be the most quietly dominant freshman in the country. Yessoufou is averaging 19.5 points and nearly 6 rebounds and over 2 steals per game, and he's been relentlessly productive while flying under the radar for the Bears. He's scored in double figures in every game so far and has been Baylor's most consistent presence, especially when others have struggled at times. And December marked a clear leap for Yessoufou as he elevated his scoring, improved his 3-point shooting percentage, and expanded his playmaking as well. And his nose for the ball, particularly on the offensive glass, helps create extra possessions that help swing games, and if the perimeter shooting continues to go up, he becomes even harder to scheme against. And heading into Big 12 play, Yessoufou looks poised to gain some more national recognition and possibly climb even higher with a better grade. Another Big 12 freshman that has been great so far has been Koa Peat, which is why I also gave him an A- grade, but this freshman season at times has been a tale of extremes, because at his best, he's been dominant, which was highlighted by his 30-point debut and standout performance against Florida in the first game of the season. And when engaged, Peat impacts games across scoring, rebounding, and playmaking. However, at times his inconsistency has surfaced, with a few forgettable outings mixed in between the highs, but the encouraging sign is recent stabilization that we've seen, because over Arizona's last 4 games, Peat has found a rhythm, posting steady double-figure scoring and contributing across the board as well. And the upward trend matters, and if Peat sustains this level of engagement, Arizona gains a reliable secondary star to Jaden Bradley, and the ceiling remains sky high for Peat, but the challenge is eliminating navigating the valleys that have held him back so far, which is why I don't have him higher on the grading scale. Another Arkansas freshman I wanted to talk about though is Meleek Thomas, as he remains one of the most dangerous shot makers in the freshman class, even if his role has shifted recently, which is why I have him as a B grade. And while Darius Acuff Jr. has emerged as Arkansas's primary initiator, Thomas still brings elite scoring bursts that can swing games in minutes. The assist drop-off in December though, and quieter stretches and big wins have impacted his overall grade for me, but the talent hasn't vanished. His 28-point explosion against James Madison this past week was a reminder of just how lethal he can be when the shot is falling, and Thomas thrives as a perimeter weapon, and there will be nights where he's the focal point of the offense, and if his efficiency and off-ball impact rise alongside Acuff's playmaking, Arkansas becomes even more difficult to defend moving forward. But a freshman that has completely flipped his season as of late is Brayden Burries from Arizona, because after struggling mightily against elite early competition, Burries has completely rewritten the narrative in recent weeks, which has gotten him up to a B+ grade for me. His performances against Auburn and Alabama showcase his ability to rise to the moment with efficient scoring, confident shot making, and improved physicality on both ends of the floor. And over his last 4 games, Burries has averaged 16 points while playing with far greater decisiveness, and the progression has been rapid and encouraging for me. And while the early inconsistency keeps his overall grade in check and not even higher, the recent stretch suggests real momentum heading into conference play, and if Burries can continue to knock down threes consistently, Arizona will have another star-level freshman on its hands, and one who's peaking at the right time. But one of the freshmen that has the lowest grade for me is Nikolas Khamenia from Duke, who I'm giving a C- right now, because his freshman season so far has been uneven, especially in high-level moments. Against major conference opponents, production for Khamenia has been limited, with only one true standout game, which was a near double-double in Duke's marquee road win over Michigan State. But outside of that, efficiency and his impact have lagged behind expectations for me, and even in favorable matchups, he has mistakes and limited offensive assertiveness that has surfaced, and Duke's depth certainly plays a role with this, but the flashes haven't arrived consistently enough to inspire confidence from me right now. And Khamenia still rebounds and competes, but he looks more like a long-term developmental piece than an immediate difference maker for Duke, and another year of growth could unlock his potential, but for now the production simply hasn't matched my expectations. Next is Braylon Mullins from UConn, who I've given a B grade so far, and his role has rapidly grown, and so has his impact. After missing time earlier in the year, he's worked his way into UConn's starting lineup and immediately made his presence felt on both ends of the floor. Mullins thrives in transition, turning defensive plays into offense, while also showing a polished scoring feel, especially from deep, and his athleticism and instincts have drawn notable comparisons, and his comfort level continues to rise with the increased minutes that we're continuing to see from him. And while he's still developing rhythm and consistency, the trajectory is clearly upward for Mullins, and I truly believe he isn't close to his ceiling yet, and that's what makes his outlook so exciting. But as the season progresses and his confidence builds even more, I expect his production to continue climbing. But maybe one of the most impressive surprises of this freshman class has been Kingston Flemings from Houston, who I've given an A grade because he has been absolutely awesome to start the year. And operating within Houston's slow, methodical system, his numbers don't immediately pop, but the efficiency and impact he's had is undeniable. Currently, he's averaging 15.5 points, nearly 5 assists, and shooting over 56% from the field, and Flemings makes every touch that he gets count. His defensive activity and three-point shooting further elevate his value as well, and when adjusted for pace and minutes, the production suggests star-level output actually, and despite the limited opportunities that he sees at times, Flemings consistently tilts games in Houston's favor, and if he's given more freedom, the numbers would explode. And as it stands, he's been exceptional within his role for Houston and one of the most complete freshmen in college basketball so far. And there have been a lot of freshmen in this class that have been awesome through the first 2 months of the season, and I wanted to highlight a few more that have far exceeded my expectations so far. And first, I have Keaton Wagler from Illinois, who continues to rise in big moments for the Illini, delivering standout performances against top competition. Right now, he's averaging 15.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, while shooting over 42% from 3, and he's trending toward a breakout freshman season from what we've seen so far, and looks poised to keep climbing in Big Ten play. Another standout freshman has been Hans Steinbach from Washington, and since returning from his injury, he's been dominant, averaging 18.5 points and 12 rebounds while shooting 58% from the field, and he's second nationally in rebounding and already has 8 double-doubles on the year. And if this efficiency holds, Steinbach will stay firmly in the national freshman spotlight for me. And then you have Iowa State freshman Killian Toure, whose value shows up beyond just the box score, and while he's averaging 11 points, his elite defense and efficiency metrics help anchor Iowa State's success so far this year, and opponents struggle mightily against him, and his impact should only grow as conference play intensifies. And then I also have to mention Ebuka Okori from Stanford, as he has been one of the nation's most prolific scorers even as a freshman, as he's averaging 22.8 points per game, which is 4th nationally, and he's scored in double figures in every game so far and owns multiple 30-point outings. And if this pace continues, Okori's freshman season will be impossible for everyone to ignore. But that wraps it up for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on my grades for the top freshmen in this year's freshman class. Was there someone else that you think has been playing absolutely amazing so far, or would you change anything about the grades that I gave? Also, if you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.